Hey guys, it's Daniel, licensed therapist. Whilst cruising the interwebs, I came across this very fascinating video of divorce lawyers giving their relationship advice. And I think a lot of people think divorce lawyers, a therapist is probably going to take a huge crap on their advice.
That is one big pile.
But you know what? I have a tremendous amount of respect for divorce attorneys. I feel like it's a very difficult job. In fact, I see them as part of the service industry of people who are there to help couples. And me included, I'm there to help couples. I'm there to serve them. I feel like we are there at different stages. I'm there where people want to save their marriage and I try to help them. And divorce lawyers are there to try to help them separate as amicably as possible. Having said that, these guys must have seen a tremendous amount of stuff because divorce can get so messy and often is really nasty. So let's see what these guys have to say about relationship advice. Let's get into it.
Marriage is like the lottery. You're probably not going to win. But if you win, what you win is so great that it's worth trying. It's worth buying the ticket and taking the ride.
So this guy seems pretty nice and pretty intelligent, but I hate his take on marriage. And I actually hear it all the time. I know the statistic, but you know what it says to me? That this person has no agency in marriage. And I'm not talking about this lawyer in particular. I'm saying people that don't want to get married based on the statistic. Look, a lottery, you have no power in the lottery. You have nothing you can do to influence the outcome. You can either buy the ticket or not. But in marriage, there's a tremendous amount of agency and there's a lot of things that you can do. Only 0.0000007% of people make the NBA, give or take a 0 or 2. I might have missed one. But let's say you're 6'10", and let's say you're super athletic, you're super coordinated, and you can jump out the gym. Do you think the statistics are the same then? Of course they're not. But living by the same statistic of 0.0000007, give or take a 0, would be ridiculous. So you don't want to live your life according to some statistic. Because like I said, there's a lot of things that you can do so that the odds are in your favor, that you have this amazing, wonderful, beautiful marriage. Liking this video and subscribing to this channel wouldn't hurt.
You know, 53% of marriages end in divorce in New York State. So if I said to you there's a 53% chance that when you walk out the front door today, you're gonna get hit in the head with a bowling ball, you would either stay inside or at a minimum you would wear a helmet. You know, you buy a house, they make you fill out 50 forms explaining that you understand the lead paint disclosures, you understand the loan, you understand everything. You get married, you don't get a pamphlet. You don't even get a piece of paper that says, oh, by the way, you just did the most legally significant thing other than dying you'll ever do. The fact that you're entering into this significant legal contract, but most people have zero idea what's actually involved in that contract and spend a lot more time figuring out what kind of cake we should have at the event, is a really strange thing to me. Take marriage seriously.
Hey, great advice. Prepare yourself for marriage. I know that these guys are lawyers and they're talking mostly in a legal aspect. And I, as a therapist, I'm talking about a relational aspect, but I think that there's a lot of overlap. So I think that this is really good advice. And I love his comment about the cake because I feel like that is the way a lot of people go about getting married. They're all about that wedding day or they're all about the chase. And I feel like that's kind of like being the Joker.
You know what I am? I'm a dog chasing cars. I wouldn't know what to do with one if I caught it. You know, I just do things.
People think that marriage is the finish line.
Not a great plan.
The wedding day is actually only the beginning. So I think that begs the question, Daniel, how do you prepare for marriage? And that's a very complicated question because everyone is so individual. And then marriage is two individuals coming together to make an even more individual thing. So I don't think there's anything I can tell that would apply to every single person. But I think what I would offer is a perspective shift. I would say that look at your marriage as if it were an entity. And I tell my clients, look at it like it's a baby. You have to care for a baby. You have to feed it. You have to change its diapers. You have to give it love and attention. And if you don't do that, the baby can get sick or die. So if you just have that perspective, I need to take care of this relationship, then I feel like you'll just be able to figure it out.
If you want to be with a person who is social and very outgoing, then don't marry someone who is a homebody.
This is who I want. This is what I expect. If this doesn't work for you, then you may not be the right guy for me. It's critical that those expectations are communicated early.
You're not going to change all that much just because you're getting married. And the person that you're marrying is most probably not going to change all that much either.
I always tell clients you divorced the person you were married to. And because clients come in and they'll say, in this shocked way, say like, I can't believe he's being so vindictive. And I'll say, well, what was he like during the marriage? And they say, well, he was vindictive. I can't believe he's nickel and diming me on all the finances. And you say, well, what was he like with money during the marriage? And they say, well, he was the kind of person that would nickel and dime everybody. Okay, well, why would you think he'd be different during the divorce?
Hey, great advice. Don't go into a relationship expecting someone to change, because you know what's most likely going to happen? The person that expects the other person to change is actually going to have to change that expectation. But this leads to my number one dating advice, which is look at dating like it's an evaluation. You are a detective and you are gathering as much information to determine what kind of person this is and whether this person is worthy of being your life partner. Like the guy said, it's the most important legal decision other than dying. So do your homework and make a good decision.
I think one of the most important conversations you need to have with your partner before getting married is about your finances. Doing a prenup forces the couple to have a conversation. With a prenuptial agreement, there is mandatory financial disclosure. Most people are out there making their own money, and by the time they get married, they have their own bank accounts and, student loans or credit card debts. And those are all sort of important things to know about the person that you're going to marry.
So money in marriage counseling is one of those topics that can get a bit sticky. So I agree that disclosing everything up front is wise, because you don't want to get into a marriage and all of a sudden find this very unwanted surprise, or you're at an impasse. But as a therapist, I would actually say, do not get a prenup. And look, I don't blame my Asian sister here for saying to get a prenup. When it comes to legal advice, it is smart. And she's right. People do make their own money. And when they do split up, it can get very messy, and a prenup can prevent a lot of pain. But you know what? People don't get into marriages expecting to get a divorce. They want to stay married forever. And in order to do that, one thing that you need is commitment. And if you have a nice, clear, clean exit strategy, I can't help but think that that does hurt the commitment. So that's why I'm against prenups. Let's keep going.
I think what a lot of us are looking for in someone to date is very different than what we're looking for in someone to marry. I've had so many clients who, for example, their boyfriend or girlfriend has a job that is so cool to have a boyfriend or girlfriend doing. A musician, a chef. There's something very exciting about dating someone in that position. But think about what it's going to be like to be married to someone in that position. A chef who works really long hours late into the night. A person who travels for business and is on the road, 45 weeks of the year. What makes for a good boyfriend or girlfriend and what makes for a good spouse or partner, especially if you want to have kids, is a tremendously different thing much of the time.
Wow, I could not have said it better myself. Once again, great advice, divorce attorneys. So, we are a detective, ideally, and we're evaluating this person. We're gathering information. And what we're doing is we're making a projection about what our life is going to be like with this person. And sure, some things can be fun, some things can be cute now, but later on down the road, it could get annoying or very problematic. And I absolutely love the advice of lifestyles having to match. I think that does set us up for a good marriage. But you know what I think is more important than lifestyles matching? It's how are we going to navigate life? How are we going to communicate? How are we going to resolve conflicts? When I look at this person, let's say I get sick, how are they going to react? Are they going to be there for me? When they get sick, how are they going to be when I'm trying to be there for them? So these are the questions that I think are a bit more important than just lifestyles matching up.
When you represent people in divorce, you see good people at their worst. So I've seen, stay-at-home moms who, in the middle of a courtroom, throw something at their spouse.
This is so true. I'm not a divorce attorney, but I've actually experienced this too. Nobody's thrown anything, but the emotional blows are very painful. And I would say even more painful than the physical ones. I've seen the most amazing, wonderful people become so mean and so vindictive. And you know what? I don't blame them one bit. I totally get it. I understand. That is all a product of getting hurt. They've been hurt by this other person, and that's where that all comes from. They're not bad people. So what's the big lesson here? Do not hurt your partner, and find a partner that isn't going to hurt you. Believe me, that stuff does accumulate. You can start to resent, even hate the person. So choose well, don't hurt each other.
The biggest mistake that people make when they're getting divorced is to make this into the winner and loser situation. They get so caught up into standing their ground that they lose focus of what really matters and the collateral damage that's happening around them. The key here is to keep your eye on the prize. It's my job to take your hand and walk you through this path, which is very scary, but the goal is to get to the other side, not to get stuck in the middle.
I like what he said about winning and losing. And there's a saying that we have in couples therapy. It's, if one person loses, we both lose. And that is because if you win and your partner loses, you shifted your perspective from us being a team, us being together, to us being adversaries, us being against one another. And if that is the perspective that you guys have, it's a loss. And I really respect this guy because it sounds like he's really trying to mitigate the pain of a divorce. And like I said, a divorce can be so messy. Think about custody battles. Think if you have to sell a house and fighting over money. I respect really what he's doing. And I actually think he could really benefit by having some therapeutic tools because it is navigating conflict a lot like therapy. So not an easy job. I have a lot of empathy for these guys. And a lot of people say, Daniel, your job must be so hard. Well, I would take my job over a divorce attorney's job any day because a divorce attorney, a good day at the office ends at a marriage ultimately ending. And for me, a good day at the office is saving and turning a marriage around. I've had the privilege of walking alongside of a lot of couples, and not all of them are successful in saving their marriage, but a lot of them do. They turn their marriage around. I've had the pleasure of seeing people actually ride off into the sunset into a beautiful life and marriage. It's awesome. And I wouldn't trade it for anything. So that's my reaction to these divorce attorneys and their relationship advice. I am actually very impressed, and these people seem very nice. But is there anything that you feel like you want me to react to? If you do, leave it in the comments down there. Thanks for watching, you guys. I'll see you next time.